Hey, what's going on, y'all? Um, I'm just here with the Libertarianism stream, and just give me a couple more seconds. I'm in a fucking delay. Shouts out to the ones that come through. Yeah, I just got off a panel with one G's. This is pretty difficult. I know this is skeptic, but this is gonna be a stream that I've wanted to do. So just give me a second and to set up. And I'm gonna go on mute and bounce around a little bit because I'm kind of conflicted right now because the background bullshit I have to deal with. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it. Mean to do this stream, and I know it's difficult and all over. Oh damn! Already one dislike. Oh god damn! The hate is real, y'all. Shit, the hate is fucking real. Okay, the hate is real. But shouts out to the hater. Let's see. We're gonna get into it because I believe we got a hater, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is gonna be some bullshit, but okay. Let's go on D Scott. Got haters in the building. Okay. Damn. I gotta create me a link. Okay. Fucking hate haters sometimes, but it's part of life. It's part of life. Let me create a folder. I'm gonna create a folder for this shit. Yes. Create next. Public. Liber. Yeah, just give me a second because I'm conflicted right now. Yeah, I'm gonna try to spell the word. Damn, it's a mouthful. Yeah. And let me get this straight. I'm gonna have to do something real quick. I got a lot of haters on me. Okay. That's good. That's good. Let me get Tie City out the way. Yeah, because I'm conflicted right now with this little thing. All right. So we here. Okay. Libertarian philosophy. Oh shit. Cancel. Save. All right. Yeah, we're gonna get back into it. I mean, I was a little conflicted earlier, so you know how it is. Education, yeah, libertarian philosophy. Okay, good. Cancel. Now we're back at the helm. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into the philosophy and right quick. So it's gonna be a hassle. I'm gonna have to mute up sometimes, but you know what I'm saying. We're gonna pick some ideologies here. So we're gonna explore the theory and liberty. This is one of those things. I'll do a part 2 to this on December 1st. Don't you worry. This is going to be one of those problems that I got to find links. I didn't study for this, so bear with me because this is going to be a problem because this philosophy I'm going to bust down, and a lot of people do it in 6 minutes, but there's a Britannica. I'm trying to find out the research. Honestly, what everyone needs to know. It's gonna be small links because I've messed up on this, so y'all just gotta bear with me. Okay, now we're gonna read it. Okay, libertarianism includes a broad spectrum of political philosophies, each sharing the common. Um, Let me turn this up. Okay, libertarianism includes a broad spectrum of political philosophies, each sharing the common overall priority: minimal government combined with optimum possible individual liberty. Its goal prioritize freedom and freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to bear arms, freedom from religion, freedom of press, freedom of ownership, and economic freedom. It promotes personal responsibility and private charity as it opposed to visions of welfare service by the state. It rejects compulsions of socialism and communism. We'll talk about them in the near future, along with capitalism and anarchism. We'll get into that, and y'all can send me some links. We already talked about liberalism. Now, individualism, we'll talk about these in one segment with this website right here, and then we're going to do some research on them and just write them down, because this is going to be one of that. And they mentioned John Stuart Mill in this. Okay, here we go. The utilitarian guy we did last time with liberalism. Generally speaking, libertarians defend the idea of freedom in the perspective of how little one is constrained by authority, i.e. how much one is allowed to do, negative liberty, as opposed to the opportunity and the ability to act, fulfill one's own potential, positive liberty. Distinction first noted by John Stuart Mill, the utilitarian philosopher, by the way, and they viewed life, liberty, and property as the ultimate rights possessed by individuals, and the compromising one necessarily endangers the rest. They consider compromise of these individuals' rights by political actions by the tyranny of the majority, a term first coined by Alex de Tocqueville, 1805-1859, and made famous by John Stuart Mill, the utilitarian philosopher himself. Many libertarians would also argue, however, the representative majority rule democracy has a large become controlled by special interest groups who represents a minority, leading to a tyranny of minority against the real numerical majority. The term libertarian stems from the French and libertary for liberty, and its first recorded use is the political sense. What is 1857 by anarcho-communist Joseph Dijak, 1821 to 1864. But in common uses, libertarian refers to a person who advocates liberty, especially with regard to thought or conduct, or a person who maintains the doctrine of free will. This is the introduction of libertarianism. So we're going to get the history of libertarianism. Okay. The history of libertarianism is also the history of the classical liberalism. And the two concepts are very close related, but the initial theory arose from the Enlightenment ideas in the 18th century Europe and America, especially the political philosophies of John Locke and Baron de Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755, the moral and economic philosophy of Adam Smith. We talked about him last week or so. Locke believed that the role of any legislature was protecting natural rights in the legal civil rights. He proposed a labor theory of property whereby each individual owns the fruits of the efforts by the virtue of his labor. From this is an economic emerged based on private property and trade with money as the medium of exchange. At around the same time, the French philosopher Montesquieu developed a distinctive between sovereign and administrative powers and proposed a separation of powers, usually into the executive, legislative, and judicial acts as counterweight to the natural tendencies of the administrative power to grow at the expense of individual rights. This became an important concept in both constitutional monarchies and republics. So Adam Smith's moral philosophy stressed government and non-intervention so that the individuals could achieve whatever their goal-given talents would allow without interference from arbitrary forces. He also proposed trade guilds, forerunners to the modern unions, joint stock companies, or corporations for the same reasons. The founding fathers of the United States enshrined the protection of liberty as the primary purpose of government in the Declaration of Independence of 1776, in the United States Constitution, and Thomas Jefferson, 1743, 1826, and particularly was the key in establishing the law, equal liberty, and non-aggression principle as major tenets. Very similar ideas were also included in the French Declaration of the Rights of the Man and Citizen of 1789, the key document in the French Revolution. John Stuart Mill declared that his preferred doctrine of utilitarianism requires that the political arrangements satisfies the liberty of principle, whereby each person is guaranteed the greatest possible liberty, that will not interfere with the liberty of others and other maximum happiness. We talked about this before in certain streams. I'm going to give you the history of utilitarianism. I got a whole playlist of utilitarianism, and it says moral worth solely determine the overall utility and the maximum of happiness or pleasure as summoned among all people. It is to attend the total utility of individuals, which is important here, and the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. That's what it means. And what they did with libertarianism, that's what it birthed. And I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna go back to it and show you. We talked about this last week as well. John Stuart Mill, yeah, it's hedonistic utilitarianism. And then you break down liberalism and libertarianism down here. And I talked about that with John Stuart Mill. He deals with the quality utilitarianism because, number one, he's one of those guys that birthed that philosophy. And that's why libertarianism got its legs. So we're going to get into it. In the late 19th century, the early 20th century, progressivism is the United States socialism in Europe, increasingly focused on the advancement of workers' rights and social justice to counteract the increasing excesses of rampant capitalism and industrialism. It was only in the latter half of the 20th century that the term libertarian, which had earlier been associated with anarchism, came to be adopted by those attitudes bore closer resemblance to classic liberals. And that's it. And we're going to get in depth to it later on this other research. Rights libertarian or right of theory libertarian moralism or deontological libertarianism. Rights theorists asserted that all purposes are absolute owners of their lives should be free to do whatever they wish with their own bodies or property, provided they do not infringe on the rights of another to do the same. The law of equal liberty. Number two, the aggression or the intention of physical force or the threat of such against a person or his I said, hold on. Or the intention or his property is inherently illegitimate insofar as the impinges on the equal rights of a person. But the non-aggression principle, except in the case of self-defense, this is a view of the natural rights derives from the early writings of Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. Most rights libertarians recognize the necessity of a limited role of government as a necessary evil to protect individuals from any violations of their rights and prosecute those who initiate force against other. Many anarchisms, although some with the existence of government taxations altogether on the grounds that represent the aggressions against the individual rights by its very nature, anarcho-capitalism. Robert Nozick, 1938 to 2002. Murray Rothbard, 1926-1995, are representatives of the view of libertarianism. So it's Robert Nozick and Murray Rothbard. Libertarianism of this part right here. Okay. Consequentialist libertarianism or libertarian consequentialism. Consequentialist libertarians justify the rights of the individuals on a pragmatic or consequentialist as well as moral grounds. Consequentialism is moral theory that the consequences of the particular action form the basis of any valid moral judgment about the action. They are less concerned with the non-aggressional principle, more concerned with the notion of a society that allows individuals to enjoy political and economic liberty, which they see as the foundation for human happiness, prosperity. They argue the individual liberty to economic efficiencies and other benefits, and it's thus most effective means of promoting or enhancing social welfare. Milton Friedman, 1912, 2006. Ludwig von Mises, 1881, 1973. Frederick Hayek, 1899, 1992, are major proponents of this view. Another split is between left-wing and right-wing libertarianism. Left libertarianism or geo-libertarianism. Left libertarianism combines a strong commitment to personal liberty with an egalitarian view concerning natural resources, believing that it is not legitimate for someone to claim privateship private ownership of resources to the detriment of others, that each individual is entitled to an equal share of natural resources. Many left libertarians advocate strong alliances with the left on issues such as anti-war movement and the labor unions, and some wish to revive voluntary cooperative ideas such as mutualism. Agorism is an extreme for anarcho-capitalism. Libertarianism developed by Samuel Edward Konkinkin III, 1947 to 2004, building on the ideas of Murray Rothbard, 1926-1995, which takes as its ultimate goal society, which all relations between people are voluntary exchanges, completely free market, in a underground or counter economy, which is state is redundant. Anarchism and agorists considered themselves left libertarians, although there is a contention over that. Right libertarianism or libertarian conservatism. Right libertarianism is the synthesis of libertarianism and right-wing conservatism. Stresses limited government and strong capitalism. It differs from Christians' influence, conservatism's in that generally favors the separation of church and state, but sometimes split into four main branches, kind of like classic liberalism right here. It's in that part, but that's another ideology. That's in economics, but outside of that, they're more like liberals, technically speaking, in a way. Classical or traditional libertarianism, whose main goals are shrinking of the power of government and the promotion of free markets, and generally believes that social liberalism and anti-militarism promotes economically conservative goals. Neo-libertarianism. Here's this word right here. Neo-libertarianism, which in opposition to classical libertarianism supports an interventionist foreign policy and militarism to expand democracy. See, democracy equals conservatism. There goes that word, democracy. That's a conservative idea. If you think about democracy, if it's a republic, it's a liberal idea. Paleo-libertarianism are more culturally conservative and ardently Christian view than a classic libertarianism, usually involving views against abortion and for the complete privatization of education. Small government conservatism, a socially conservative outlook which generally considered any necessary government enforcement the responsibility of the state governments, not the federal government. Actually, they want big military spending, the militarism and all that. Yeah, this is the philosophy aspect we're going to get into. I'm going to put this in the chat, in the live chat, because I think people can read it, what I was just reading. And I was just putting things down because I know people are going to be in and out because they're busy and things like that. So I'm not going to stop. And okay. Let me paste this. My fault. I'll let y'all get the meat of it than the gist. So as what I was saying, you got this whole philosophy thing going and you got the whole thing building up. So as we can see, I'm going to stop the share real quick and I'm going to go right back to it for y'all. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to share a screen with y'all and we're going to talk about it immediately. Already at the helm. So I'm saying, like, we can do this. So we're gonna have to have that. Now, so we're gonna get back into it with the philosophy. Okay, libertarianism, what everyone needs to know. Historically, Americans have seen libertarians as a far outside of mainstream. But with the rise of the Tea Party movement, the libertarian principles have been risen in forefront of the Republican politics. But libertarianism is more than a philosophy of individual freedom and unintended markets that Republicans have embraced. Indeed, as Jason Branham points out, libertarianism is a quite different and far richer system through the mindset of most of us suspected in this timely new entry, Oxford's acclaimed series, What Everyone Needs to Know. Brennan offers the nuanced portrait of libertarianism, proceeding through a series of questions, the illuminated and essential elements of libertarianism and the problems the philosophy addresses includes such as topics as the value of liberty, human nature, ethics, economic liberty and civil rights, social justice, and the poor. Government and democracy and contemporary politics, that's conservative politics, by the way. Brennan asked the most fundamental and challenging questions. What do libertarians think liberty is? Do libertarians think everyone should be selfish? Are libertarians just out to protect the interests of the big business, which is true? What do libertarians think we should do about racial injustice? What would libertarians do about pollution? Are Tea Party activists true libertarians? As he sheds light of libertarian beliefs, Brennan out overturns numerous misconceptions. Libertarianism is not about the simple-minded paranoia about the government, and he writes, rather than it celebrates the ideal of peaceful cooperation among the free and government, and he writes, rather than it celebrates peaceful like that. Okay, minimizing power available to them to protect the weak, and Brennan argues that the libertarian, in fact, benevolence and deep concern in the poor for clear, concise, incentively written the volume and explains a virtual important philosophy in American history and the potent force in contemporary politics. Okay, so the contents, this is like a little small article. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they give you the basics. Okay. I'm gonna give you this article right here. I read from that. Yeah, it's a read. So it's a read that you can get. So, you know, what's going on, Carly Jane? Salute. I'm just gonna take my time. It's gonna take my time because I know people just getting in here. I know y'all busy. But you know, we're gonna get this stream out the way, so I'm not stopping. I want to get out of here with that. And so we're gonna look at it from all angles. Libertarian totally exists. Libertarian for everyone. Here's the insight. It's a policy thing. Learn about it. We solve problems to make real. Oh God, that's some joiner shit. Okay. Policy Institution. Okay. What is Libertarian Policy Institute? Libertarian Policy Institute exists to develop practical libertarian solutions to real world problems and to evangelize them to the world. We work with anyone who will help empower people to improve the world without coercion. We believe that working together with each other, we can create safe and secure and prosperous society. If you light lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. Guadamuda Buddha. Okay, that's their little saying. Libertarian policy. Okay, relations. This is our duty. Also, website. Yeah, I'm just gonna look at that. Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Yeah, it's got good insights and things like that. Not tripping over here. So the political science, biographies, and oh man, libertarianism versus conservatism. We're gonna go back to that shit. I can't save no links. I'll just drop some links for y'all. Oh, it's a long read. Long read, libertarianism. So it's a bad article. Yeah, that's too damn small. Let me go. It says free will in the chat. We're gonna talk about this too. August 9th, 2018. Oh, it's got a YouTube video. Damn. It's one of those. Okay. I can read the description. Okay. Libertarians and conservatives both advocate individual liberty, but limited government and free markets. But sometimes these shared values lead libertarians and conservatives to similar conclusions about public policy. However, the difference between the two political philosophies are at least as significant as the similarities. On a matter such as a national security, foreign policy, immigration, criminal justice, drugs, surveillance, marriage, and the family, and the role of religion in public policy, libertarians and conservatives often clash with one another, despite whether similarities they may have. Libertarianism and conservatism are substantially different worldviews, which one has a deeper grasp of politics, the nation, and human beings, which should be entrusted with safeguard and prolong our nation. We invite you to attend this debate to the two political philosophies, their associated policies, implications, and terms from Cato Institute and Heritage Foundation will go head to head to answer the question, is libertarian or conservatism superior to political philosophy? That's what it says. Y'all can check this shit out. So I'm going to give y'all another reason. So I'm just going to go like that, wake y'all fools up. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all need to look at past what y'all need to. Try to get away from the beef for a minute, talking about that nonsense. Let me see here. Y'all. Fault, y'all. Okay. Shit. The meaning of Howard Institute. Yeah. Because I had a bug for a minute on the internet. Okay. It's about to go down for a minute. So we got this article. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. So the meaning, okay, let me get this out of the way. Yeah, we in it. Yeah. Make sure my net is working. It's fairly good. Okay. Yeah. Cut that out. And it dropped on me. Okay, it happens. Damn, I hate Comcast. Okay, the meaning of libertarianism. In recent blog, George Mason University economist Tyler Cohen writes a tribute to what he calls state capacity libertarianism. I use the word tribute to advisedly because Cohen doesn't really make a case. Instead, he claims that libertarians should be state capacity libertarians, settles for 11 assertions about the state capacity libertarianism is while putting the minimal flesh on the bones. This one post quickly receives a fair amount of attention, notable for Nick Gillespie at The Reason, Henry Olson at The Washington Post, John Conran at the Hoover Institution. Cohen notes that he's tracked the libertarian movement for much of his life and also has observed its evolution. He writes along the way, I believe the smart classical liberals and libertarians have, as if guided by an invisible hand, involved into a view that I dub with the entirely non-sticky name of state capacity libertarianism. Bold and original. I don't know what he means by non-sticky, but more important, has libertarians so involved and is state capacity libertarianism superior to what Cohen calls old style libertarianism? That's what we call it. No, and no. The majority of modern libertarians are working within the broad framework of traditional libertarianism. Moreover, libertarianism, properly conceived, can handle among all the modern problems that Cohen throws at it. Whether's state capacity is fraught with danger. You might argue that Cohen has covered himself by restricting the term smart classical liberals and libertarians. But how would he or we determine who's smart? By IQ, by accomplishments, or would be a tautological? Those who agree with Cohen are smart and the rest of us aren't. I don't know. So instead of, I'll explain why Cohen's charge against plain libertarianism is unfounded and why the state capacity libertarianism is dangerous. First, though, let me spell it out of the organization I think will think of when I think of smart libertarians. There are three main reasons: the Reason Foundation, the Cato Institute, and yes, Cohen's own George Mason University and its affiliate Mercatus Center. The output from all three is large and the average quality is high. In all of these three cases, the writers and scholars contend with these issues of the day, and they make a mixed philosophical and practical arguments from limited government. Limited government would seem to be meaning limited state capacity. Start with Cohen's basic charge. He writes for one thing. It doesn't seem to the old style libertarianism can solve or even very well address number of major problems, most significantly climate change. Let's consider current issues to see how old the style libertarianism contends with them, to compare that to how the state capacity libertarianism would work. Consider illegal drugs. Hold on. We talk about illegal drugs. A little over a century ago, and heroin and cocaine were completely legal until the early 1900s. The coca leaf was presented in Coca-Cola, in fact, and explained that the first four letters of the drink. That's why so much early advertising referred to how refreshing Coca-Cola was. Did the United States have a big drug problem back then? My late colleague at Hoover Institution, Joseph D. McNamara answered that question. McNamara was the chief of Kansas City, Missouri police force from 1973 to 1976, and San Jose, California force 1976 to 1991. Before that, he has earned his PhD in public administration from Harvard's Kennedy School in 1973, and wrote his dissertation of the drug situation after the Harrison Narcotics Act of 1914. In the conversation in the late 1990s, Joe told me his motivation. He wanted to learn if there was a huge drug problem in the United States before 1914 law, and his bottom line, there wasn't. However, how do modern libertarians deal with the issue of currently illegal drugs? The majority libertarian at Reason who writes on the subject is Jacob Sulliam, and I've read most of what he has written on the issue. Sulliam looks carefully at the presumptuous ethics of making drugs illegal. As far as I can tell, would like to return to the legal situation that exists in United States. In the most 19th century, all drugs were legal. So here, modern journalist who applies old style libertarianism reaches the same conclusion that presumptuously classical liberals reach in 19th century. Interesting. Cowen doesn't say how the state capacity libertarians deal with the legal issues. My guess is that he would agree with the old style libertarians on this issue. In that case, it's a draw. Or is it a state with a large capacity has a large capacity for interfering with people's choices? As Thomas Jefferson didn't I say but should have a state large enough to give you what you want is a big enough take what you would have. Even if a large capacity libertarians wouldn't want a state to throw people in prison for producing distribution or drugs, they might not get their wish. But the latent power that the large capacity state would have more easily be drawn on the power of that. So give me a second, right quick. I want to see what's going on. I don't want to miss our place. Give me a second, because all right, I'm back. Yeah, I had to message somebody, but after this part, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna mute if I get a message. Okay, with the large capacity choices. Okay, my justice draw, Thomas Jefferson. Okay, should have a large state enough, big enough. Even if large libertarians wouldn't want a state to throw people in prison, producing distribution of drugs, or that might not be their wish, but the latent power that the large capacity state would have more easily to be drawn onto the power that is a small capacity state would have. If you think subtly change that issue by introducing the adjective large in front of the capacity, notice that is its post Cowan reference as a relevant for background 2007 essay in which he wrote, "We should embrace a world with growing wealth and growing positive liberty and yes, growing government." Cowan writes, many of the failures of today's America are failures of excessive regulation, but many others are failures of the state capacity. Our government cannot address climate change, much improve K-12 education, fix traffic congestion, or improve the quality of their discretionary spending. Much of our physical infrastructure is stagnant or declining in quality. Again, I will put a climate aside temporarily, but consider K-12 education, which is close to a government monopoly. It is particularly insidious monopoly because the government uses tax revenues that allow it to set a price of zero. When parents either homeschool or pay tuition to send their children to private schools, they get no break on taxes. That means that if a private school charges a low tuition of a said $7,000 annually, parents who values education a little more than $7,000 unlikely pay the tuition for it to be worthwhile. The parent must value the education by at least $7,000 more than he or she values the government. Provide education. That's likely the main reason that most parents could afford private schools for their children, and then instead and their kids to the government schools. So yeah, it talks about different philosophies. I mean, it's a long read. I'll give you this. Yeah, this is basically the hoover.org. I'm gonna give you the meat of it. What's going on, Nadia? Salute, salute, salute. And this is one of those things, and I'm 30 minutes in and we're talking about it. I'm just gonna break some things down. And we just looking at it. Yeah, that's the Hoover report. I'll see what we got here. And we got this, we got the report. We got the this link right here, the heritage. We got that. We got the philosophy aspect, and we're gonna get another one. So be prepared. Let's see what's going to happen. But yeah. I'm just not really tripping off of it right now. So shouts out to the shares with Cerulean and yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about this tonight. So Y'all just give me a second real quick, because this is going to be one of those things that, yeah, man. So we're going to check Ty out. We're going to be here for a while. So yeah, let me get my feel in. Let's look at CNN Politics, talk about it. They're going to be a little biased, but we're going to look at all sources and see if they're talking about that. Oh, New Republic. Libertarian moment never comes. Okay. A culture war for people who don't play video games. Oh my God, these old ass articles. It's one of those article things. Okay. Let's look at we're gonna scroll down. What's their perspective of it? And CNN Politics, they act like they know libertarianism. We know the philosophy. We're gonna go for CNN reference. Okay, and CNN, when people talk about libertarians, two things are bound to come up: gold and marijuana. This is a hot without reason. Libertarians talk a lot about auditing the Federal Reserve and returning U.S. currency to the gold standard. They all rail against the war on drugs, which is true, and many of them, including the party's forerunner, enjoy pot. But as the Libertarian Party maneuvers during an unprecedented year in politics, it has its chance to break out of the fringe. Out the fringe, they say, right? CNN ORC poll released Tuesday showed that Libertarian nominee, former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson, earning 9% of the support nationwide, likely Green Party nominee Jill Stein, pulling 7% support registered voters. Among those voters who say they're not settled on a candidate in the two-way race more than the one-third choice, Johnson 23%, Jill Stein, I'll say Stein 12%. When asked the four-way matchup, that's what it should be. But media controls the two-party system. What to watch on CNN? 1971. Okay. Founded in 1971, the Libertarian Party offers a ideological political alternative to the Democratic and Republican parties in favor of reducing government government benefits and reducing regulations. Okay, give me a second. I'll read it again, and I'll be right back. All right. So we pick. Oh shit! Fuck off the screen. God damn. Okay, let's read that again. Although this agreement sounds specific measures extend to government shrinks, libertarians almost universally advocates for slashing government benefits, reducing economic regulations, and implementing radical reform, if not outright eliminating of the Federal Reserve on the social matters. Libertarians generally take liberal approach, favoring same-sex marriage and discrimination of most or all drugs, and to the party is deeply pro-gun rights, and it takes a skeptical stance on any military involvement in any other countries. Many of these ideas are rooted in principles espoused by Ayn Rand. Yeah, Ayn Rand, author of The Atlas Shrugged. Rand helped popularize the controversial libertarian principle that egoism was preferable to altruism. That's one of self-interest trumped anything else, so long as if it did not mean hurting anyone else. Yeah, that's their concept. They always believe that Iran or Aran or something like that. These ideas are old, and debates over core libertarian principles are abound. Rather than dig through the weeds, CNN reached out to several contemporary libertarians to get a better understanding of libertarianism as it stands now. Here's the people that's libertarian. Okay, we got Gary Johnson, party 19. Excuse me, Johnson, the party 2016 to 2012 president nominee, said more government does less freedom and enjoy libertarian view is a favor of smaller government and greater individual party. Okay. Bill Will from Massachusetts, running mate, libertarian, of course. Austin Peterson, hardcore party advocate and candidate. Yeah. John McAfee is a cybersecurity expert. Yeah, the McAfee, yeah, he's locked up now. Carla Howell. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all want to look at this over, that's pretty cool. I'll give you this link. So we're not tripping over here. We give out information. So it's 45 minutes in. What's gone past the salute, bro? Salute. Because we're not tripping over here. Last night was hell. You and the man. God damn. So yeah, that's what we got here. So the ideology is a must to learn. And so yeah, it's basically almost like liberalism, but it's a little bit opposite, a little conservatism. But actually, if it talks about small government, it is a liberal idea. It's just a bigger word of saying smaller government. It's different layers of libertarianism, but it's similar. So yeah, some philosophies they don't get in the books. I wish I had an extra book to back some of it up. Where I got the people that's libertarians, but part 2 we're gonna talk about it, and I ain't going depth in it tonight. So we're just gonna look at go in motion. So be drained tonight. Former Mitt Romney policy explains why most people call conservative in America today should really call something else libertarianism. Here we go. Business Insider. U.S. Lindsey Graham, Republican South Carolina, Bill Cassidy, Republican Louisiana, and Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. Okay. It's the Business Insider. It's also libertarianism. Okay. Paul Constant is a writer of the Civic Ventures of co-founder of Seattle Review of Books and a frequent co-host of the Pitchfork Economics podcast with Nick Hannar and David Goldstein. In this week's episode of Pitchfork Economics, Hannar and Goldstein spoke with Oren Cass, domestic policies and direct for Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential campaign and executive director of a new think tank called American Compass. That's an aiming to rethink and rebrand conservatism. Cass argues that most people call it casually called conservative. No thanks. I don't want to hear that. America today should be called a libertarian or absolute priority free markets to exclusion of a lot of other things. Let's read that again. He said most people actually casually call conservative in America today should really be called libertarian. That's right. Conservative economics need to make room for healthy institutions that can help American prosper. Cass says avoid making blanket rejections of anything that has to do with the government involvement or infrastructure. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, business and all that. It was 65 years ago, the National Review founder William F. Buckley Jr. in a mission statement defining his New Conservatism magazine argued that conservatism stands athwart history, yelling stop at the time when no one is inclined to do so, or to have much patience with those who urges it. Buckley's call in arms has always struck me as unattainable and strange. You can You can't stop history. After all, merely saying no isn't functionality political positions, but Buckley's National Review certainly set the tone for the Republican Party over the next handful of decades. The rise of Ronald Reagan codified within the party what was once a fringe philosophy, except in the case of the national security, any amount of government is too much government. Reagan established trickle-down economics with its anti-tax, anti-regulation, and anti-worker ethos as the solid guiding economic principle of the Republican Party in the next 4 years of the Republican leadership trickle down into religion. Grover Norquist encouraged generation of Republicans to sign a pledge of vowing to reject every single tax increase that comes across their desks with no exception. So, damn, I'm a little tired. Yeah. So, as we're going through all those links, I forgot. Did I give y'all that link? Hold on. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, shit. I forgot to give y'all that fucking link. The Business Insider. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm just going to copy that, put that in the chat. So, I just read that enhanced. What's going on? Oh, he's dead. Yeah, I forgot he passed away. Yeah, that's right. He passed away. Yeah, he died. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about he passed away. Yeah, I just read Left Wing. You late. You late on that. I already covered that in the last one, that the links in the chat. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this is nothing new. Yeah, I got time today. I've seen this before, and this is nothing new. I'm gonna keep this link right here. Can libertarianism actually work? Can libertarianism be a governing philosophy? Okay, discussion we about to have naturally divides itself into two aspects. First, could libertarianism, if implemented, sustain a state of apparatus, not devolve into autocracy or anarchy? By that, I mean the lawless version of autocracy and anarchy, not stable monarchy or emergent rule of law without the state. Second, even if the answer were yes or yes if, we would still need to know whether enough citizens desire a libertarian order that could easily feasible by voluntary chosen. That is what I am ruling out: involuntary imposition by force of libertarianism as a governmental governing philosophy. My fault. Governing philosophy. And I will address both questions, but the assert at the outset of the first more important, the fundamental one, if the answer is to no, there's no point in the moving in the second question. If the answer is yes, it may be possible to change people's minds about accepting libertarian order. That's what they got. Okay, but no, but classic liberalism. Libertarianism by governing philosophy. This is an excellent question in both senses that Michael C. Munger identifies, explores in his Liberty Forum essay. I am largely in agreement with Munger's conclusions for the reason I give it below, but also think his argument is at times unclear, ambiguous, and unfortunate ways. But the lack of clarity and could be remedied by a draw and sharper distinction between libertarians and classic liberalism, which gives rise to a third sense of the question. Also, that libertarianism, assuming that libertarian principles, my fault, libertarian principles such, can support limited government. It is libertarian psychology, anthropology, scientifically nuance to prove that the unique kind of the prudence that governing requires. So it goes in. There's your boy right there. So really, it's not that much. We'll stop it right here with the links. Yeah, man. I'm just gonna y'all bit off the more you can chew. What's going on, Tampa? Salute. And that's what you gotta have. Yeah. I'll keep it up and I'll knock it back out. Yeah, that's all the links I post in the chat. Libertarianism and libertarian philosophy. I'll post that in the beginning of the chat. Oh, excuse me. That's one of the reasons why I did the stream, because I felt like, I'm just gonna put some research down and just make it stick or whatever. But yeah, I'm not even tripping off of it, actually, because I was just waiting on to see what's what. So yeah, man. And that's one of the things that I come across, and I'm just gonna be like, this is the stream that I want to do, and then just, and I'm gonna read the comment for a minute before I get set up. Hold on. Libertarianism is a semi-anarchist ideology. Small government brings anarchy. Yep. And defines police is a libertarian idea. Libertarianism was the diary. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I agree with this part. It is semi-anarchist on the right, and the anarchist kind of left, but it's a wild ideology. When I first heard of libertarianism, I heard this probably after high school when I got into this, in a metadary by which Southern Dixiecrats become the new liberals. Exactly. And that's basically what it is. But just give me another minute and I'll drop it. If y'all want to conversate, whatever, I got time and to see what matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, libertarianism is just one of those things that we'll do a part 2 to this, because I think this will be a series of these. And just that's how I look at it in so many words. But yeah, libertarianism is one of those things that I first heard of it during the Obama election, his first term. It was just small as hell. And my thing is hearing about it, it brings out certain ideologies. But like I said, if y'all want to know, the ideology is just expounded on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to, sway anybody. You have different viewpoints. If you got different links, counter mine, that's cool. If you disagree, well, you disagree respectfully. Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm good though. So, well, we in here, but like I said, the libertarian factors. But that's just what it is. But yeah. I'm gonna drop this down for a minute. Hold on. I got time. But neoliberals are the old paleo conservatives. Absolutely. I'm gonna highlight this. And they are, and that's libertarianism. Yeah, in a nutshell. We talked about this in the last I'm gonna change my avatar in a minute. We're gonna talk about this in the last stream, couple streams back. We talked about the economic liberalism. We talked about libertarianism. We talked about neoliberalism in last Wednesday, and we broke down what it is, and then the liberal conservatives and things like that. So yeah, so we're gonna get that on the way. So you know what I mean, and as what I'm saying, we're gonna move around here for a minute. Let me get set up for you. Let me get pinned, so we'll be all right. So many words. So yeah. Yeah, that's just the thing for me. I'm not really worried. Anything. Make sure you get that. Okay. So yeah, libertarianism is like, one of those terms I've heard after high school and things like that, but it's one of those strong terms that people used to believe. I remember some white people that were semi-anarchists and believe in government. They was against Obama. And that's where you got the Gary Johnsons in the world, a few other people. It's just an ideology. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so many words, I'm just looking at it from that angle. So, okay. What's going on in Discord? And that's just it, But yeah, that's the philosophy that I was going to show y'all. But libertarianism is one of those philosophies. But it's not old. It's old, but it's not old. It's very new. The concept of it goes back to the proto-utilitarianism, and they fully with John Stuart Mill. So yeah, it ain't work. But that's what you got in these ideologies, man. But when I think about them, it's no different. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing that I kind of study and just break down symbols and all that. Yeah, I'm just looking at it for what it is. But yeah, as so many people come up, you can discuss. But I think this is another exercise. But part two will go in depth more because tonight I was kind of distracted, because I know it's the holiday season for most people, and I know y'all relax, and it's a good thing. Just be safe and don't try to harm nobody, and you know what I mean. That's what you got, and that's what you got. So many words. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Yeah, man. We mentioned Adam Smith. We mentioned him. Oh God. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna charge this bad boy. Oh shit. Do, 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 do. Don't like USB cords sometimes. And that's it. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 with you. But you know, as those links go, we did references. It references socialism and difference and freedom of speech. Uh, is synonymous with individualism in general and conservatism in particular, especially infosar as supports limited government elsewhere, whether it's more often understood in radical leftist currents of anarchism. And that's what it is. It's chaos. That's what they was trying to bring with so many words. I was on that type of time too. Didn't realize I had to do my research. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and that's what you got to look at. So y'all better get ready. But yeah, but if y'all want to come up and challenge or whatever, that's cool. But I put all the links in the chat, y'all can read. But I'll do part 2 and just get into it. But yeah. But you gotta have that clear mind. So y'all give me 1 second and I'm just gonna wait till everybody gets through. But yeah. But I'm still here, as y'all know, but I'm gonna be on mute. I gotta handle something in the background for the minute, for the duration, for tomorrow and things like that. So with that, I'm gonna be on mute and I'm just gonna pull everybody up. But yeah, but this is here, as we talked about. Okay, cool. I'm so like this, join about an hour. Okay, cool. And I'll keep it going because I'm gonna be on mute for a while, y'all. And if y'all want to come up, that's cool. But I'm gonna be on mute. I gotta check some outside because I know everybody's gonna be busy and things like that. So, just give me about 10 minutes and I'll be through. All right. I'm going on mute. All right, I'm back. I was waiting on somebody, but apparently, but yeah, I was talking about it earlier. So this is the topic tonight. So if y'all, in case y'all ain't wondering, if y'all missed it, we talked about the ideologies and things like that. We're gonna the future reference. We will talk about socialism, communism, individualism, and anarchism because we're gonna go back to this and talk about these. And we know it's political philosophies, but we're also going to talk about the systems of individualism, socialism, communism, and anarchism. I'm going to write them down. The 4 things to talk about is under libertarianism, the key things to look at. All right. And then we just go in and just go into that. And then we're going to talk about progressivism and we're going to talk about socialism and anarchism. Okay. So we got, okay, I might write these down: socialism, communism, individual, anarchism, and what else is down here? Capitalism and socialism. We're going to talk about that. Those are important. But we did talk about the types of libertarianism, right and left. We did talk about the left libertarianism. That's called geo-libertarianism. And we're going to read that again for the people in the back. Combines a strong commitment, personal liberty with an egalitarian view concerning natural resources, believing that it's not legitimate for some people to claim private ownership and resources to the detriment of others, that each individual is entitled to equal share of natural resources. Many left libertarians advocate strong alliances with the left on issues such as the anti-war movement and labor unions, and some wishes to revive voluntary cooperative ideas such as mutualism. Agorism is an extreme form of anarcho-capitalism and libertarianism developed by Samuel Edward Cunningham III, 1947 to 2004, in the Building the Idea of Murray Rothbard, 1926 to 1995, which takes as an ultimate goal society, which relations between people are voluntary exchanges, completely free market and underground, or counter economy, which states the redundant anarchism. Agorists consider themselves as left libertarians, although there is contention over that. We talked about it, and we talked about the right. It's called libertarian conservatism. And it's got different levels in the paleo and all that. Left libertarianism is geo-libertarianism, and the right is libertarian conservatism. So you know how that goes. And that's just how we get down. And yeah. I appreciate y'all, Nadia. But yeah, it's a fair trade. Fair trade. And I'm just going to look at it right quick. He said, okay, Business Insider. He said, C-SPAN. I'm going to read this off. In 2014, Barry Goldwater and libertarianism panelists talk about Barry Goldwater's influence on libertarianism. The Republican Party, Tea Party topics include stories about Senator Goldwater, his influence on contemporary conservatives, his stance on issues before Congress in 2014, prospects of Senator Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky as a presidential candidate, political core. That's a C-SPAN, Business Insider. Okay, we're going to read this right quick. Yeah, we got this right quick. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna talk about this. Here we go. Okay. Let me get the search out. Hold on. Since we really ain't coming with this, we're gonna with this. Hold on. Give me a second. We're gonna copy the link. We're gonna go. Since we're gonna copy links, hold on. I'm gonna get to my chat in a minute. Gonna dump it in the chat. So Business Insider. So yeah, we on fire with this one. I'm gonna pull it up in a minute because I think Cerulean sent me a link. Thank goodness. Let's see the Business Insider, and we're gonna go right here, and we're gonna pull this up, and we're gonna go exposing the racism. And we're gonna talk about it real quick. I'll go on mute for a minute. Hold on. Got something in my ear. Now, I'm back at it. Okay, exposing racism. And I got another one. Hold on. I'll put this in the chat as well. Let me get this over here. There's another link in here if y'all need it. I'm gonna pull it up. And we're gonna be fine over here. Okay, exposing racism of the history of libertarianism and Murray Rothbard. Okay, Murray Rothbard was a student of Ludwig von Mises and friend of Ayn Rand. Rothbard was a racist, believed in the voluntary separation of the races, have argued that his teacher, Mises, was an elitist with fascist tendencies. This part of libertarian history is part that the libertarians would like to cover up. It slips out at times, but has done so with Rand Paul, and others. But we need to take a look at what these guys believe circa 1990 because it was not long ago. Okay. We're going to go right here. We know that Rothbard spoke kindly of David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan office seeker. One disaffected the libertarian with dismay, and Rothbard would seek to align himself with the pure racists such as because he believed in a limited government. The only reason that Rothbard did not back a separate state for blacks was because he was afraid of it would cost too much in foreign aid. It should be noted that Ron Paul distanced himself from Rothbard's racism in stating that racism is a collectivist view. Still, there is a strong racial tensions in the libertarian thought. Ron Paul's newsletters have racist thoughts in them, although that Dr. Paul stated that they were put in publications without his knowledge. Have no reasons to doubt that, but these were mistakes that are significant. even when Rand Paul made a racial gaffe right after he won the Senate seat, and that he regretted when he said he was for the repeal in 1964 Civil Rights Act. It'll be seen that racial libertarian theme continues. Hold on. Racial scene team, and we need to look more in history, see if this contest pattern of its aberration. After all, many buy into the financial views of the libertarians, but they are used to justify Wall Street's excesses. But are they more insidious and dangerous than that? Racial is actually quite compatible with libertarian economics. So you got that, and here's, y'all give me a second. We're going to talk about this tonight, and we're going to go into it, and we're going to go copy the link. We're going to go my shit right here. Yeah, we're going to go right back to it, folks. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. And we're going to go right here, and we're going to go pick out these links in a minute. So Tie City is like back. Put it back again. Okay, libertarian economics stress individualism, and these guys know that their moms changed their diapers and they had to get help along the way growing up. Individualism is great, but I remember going to the class reunion, seeing that once you got to the 20th reunion, there was a lot of less individualism, a lot more humility, and we all need people. We are not islands. Yet there's things historically that comes from Mises. From Mises is quoted that Ludwig von Mises implies being a savage animal is okay, but the newborn child is born a savage. This is why libertarians only accept the legitimacy of voluntary relationships. This plays into the desire to repeal Civil Rights Act so they can kick out ethnic minorities from your restaurant without serving them. This plays into the desire of Rothbard's voluntary separate from blacks in the nation in public activity. You can see how this insidious morality breaks down society and goodwill. One deduce that the foundation of libertarianism is rotten, so it's the elitist foundation decay that seeks the limited government to the extreme. It is a decay because it is based upon the desire to ignore the needs of the greater society, but that society has been stronger because capitalism is tempered with compassion, where the capitalism becomes anarcho-capitalism as a term coined by Rothbard. It becomes a capitalism of unwholesome greed, but capitalism still has to take the subway or drive his car into the city. But if he gets shot at a destabilized society, how does that benefit him? If there's no money to fix the roads, how can he do his job? Exactly. And the danger, of course, is that the people will less socialized if there are such gadgets along the people stay from work, often home. One can hope these young people who have his wealth, independence will come to see the importance of common good anyway. So yeah, that's one of them, if not all. We're gonna stop sharing that. That's another link that we get right here. So you know what I'm saying. All right, what's going on, man? Salute. We're gonna go in and see what else he brought. Okay, so we talked about that. So we're going to talk about libertarianism. in the anarcho sense. So we're going to go. Okay. We're going to go into it. Get a screen share real quick. Anarchism or anarchism and libertarian, two sides of the same coin. Early anarchist thinkers blurred the lines between socialists and capitalists, as we can tell. And so, you know what it means. So, and I'm just going to go, just give me 1 second. Give me the copy. We'll read the blackrosefed.org and the psychological last, and we're not going to get into I'm going to get my thesis out. Okay. And we said the socialists and capitalists. Okay. Libertarianism is a simple idea that each individual has rights no other individual group of them may violate, and assumes that liberty and the autonomy of the individual promise on the natural equality of all people before the law. The 19th century libertarian philosopher Herbert Spencer called this the law of equal freedom, arguing that every man has freedom to do all he wills, provide he infringes not the equal freedom of any other man. While libertarians ground their robust commitment to individual liberty in several different philosophical traditions, they generally subscribe to some form of this law of equal freedom, satisfied that in general, the only legitimate limit on the individual freedom to act its identical freedom of everyone else. Anarchism is a physical opposition to authority, social, political, and economic, together with the corresponding belief that the state ought to be abolished. That is, that society should be functioned without. Anarchism is also deeply concerned with the liberty of the individual, her ability to order her life as chose. Anarchist writer and cartoonist Donald Room says that the anarchists, like the libertarians, hopes and creates a society that widens the range of choices available to individuals. To the end, he argues, people must not be permitted to threaten one another's violence. Any social relationship in which one party dominates another by using threats as explicit and tactics. Just give me a second right quick. Get my power source in order. Yeah, don't worry. Get this out the way. Struggling over here. I'll be all right because I'm working things in the background too, because I'm going to stop when I read because I have to get a text message to somebody. Okay. Philosophical oppositions, authority, social, political, economic, together with the corresponding belief that the state ought to be abolished. That is, the society should function without it. Anarchism is also deeply concerned with the liberty of the individual, her ability to order her life as she chooses. Anarchist writer, cartoonist Donald Room said that anarchists, like the libertarianism, hopes to create a society that widens the range of choices available to individuals. To that the end, he urges people must not be permitted to threaten one another with violence. Any social relationship which one party dominates another by the use of threats, explicit or tacit or real or delusory, restricts the choices of the dominant party, as Room shows here. And okay, shows shows us here anarchists have traditionally worried about the dominations, understanding that it often manifests itself outside of politics proper. Social economic instance of domination seem to abound situations which some external power dominates the will of the individuals, yet to coerce power in the state apparent absent, though perhaps merely hidden. Today, those who are identify as anarchists are likely to see the modern libertarian movement, which is an ideological phenomenon, is closely associated with the United States as an alternative to realities of the social economic forms of domination. For them, the freedom of free market libertarians advocate is the freedom of the capitalists to exploit. Genuine economic freedom means to the anarchists and socialism, not to capitalism. So I'm gonna have to create a folder for this. Hold on. Y'all just gave me an idea. Y'all just gave me an idea. Yeah, y'all gave me an idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go save. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up another link. So give me a chance of seeing this. Okay. We read that, so we're gonna read the Black Rose it, and so we're gonna go right here, and we're gonna have that all these, and shouts out to Rui and send me these links. So I'm gonna save some of these, and we're just gonna put it down, and we're gonna go add a bookmark, Libertarian. We're gonna save that. So we're gonna go here real quick, and we're gonna do this right now. So yeah, we're gonna get right here. So we're gonna find out right here. Now, what's the difference between libertarianism and anarchism? Don't tread on me. We just read from the others. So we're gonna read the won't tread on me. Okay. We published a brief resource dispel some of the common myths around the meaning of what is currently referred to as libertarianism, those of anarchism. We should also add that is a confusion appears primarily in the United States, only often within the last 50, 60 years below, and additional resources we recommend. What is the difference between libertarianism and anarchism? By Tom Wetzel. This depends on which of the two meanings of libertarian you have in mind. In the original 19th century and the early 20th century, sense of libertarian, which is the prominent in a number of non-English speaking countries, there isn't really any difference in the terms which segment of political opinion these terms refer to. In this original of libertarian, difference is between the positive and negative definition. Anarchism has a negative definition, opposition to top-down hierarchies of power, bosses, rulers, such as the corporations, the plutocrats, of course, the church and state. Libertarians refer to a viewpoint that places great emphasis on the positive liberty, controlling your life, and controlling decisions to extend you are affected by them. Self-management over work and community, and access to means to develop your potential, and thus your capacity for self-management. Okay. U.S. right-wing libertarianism. The other meaning of libertarianism was concocted in the United States in 1950s and 60s period. It was designed to be the new name for the advocate classical 19th century extreme individualist liberalism, and was in the central to do this form of libertarianism and limiting definition of liberty to the negative liberty absence of the coercion or restraint, those you can see the distinction between the two libertarians, how they view the institution of wage labor under capitalism. To the right-wing libertarians, being forced to work for employers, being commanded by bosses is consistent with the liberty because no one puts a gun to your head to take the job. And therefore, isn't a coercion from the anarchist or the left libertarian point of view. This is drastically property stricken definition of liberty. Right-wing libertarians are fine with the existence of the state because the state is necessarily protected to the minority capitalists or employing classes. Their disagreements with the left-wing liberals and social democrats over the state and state to provide. Okay, hold on. In the state, hold on. I missed my place. Hold on. Let me get my reading. Because no one puts to take you to job. Okay, therefore the coercions retain self point of view. This is okay. Okay, the state, because a state is necessary to protect the minority capitalists or employing classes. Disagreements with the left-wing liberals, social democrats over the state are about to use the state to provide social benefits and to benefit masses of the ordinary people, unemployment benefits, minimum wages and laws, social security systems, and public health insurance, etc. Right-wing libertarians are opposed to these things. That's what it is. So you got your left wing. We're going to stop it right there with the left wing and anarchism. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to do it right here real quick. So we got to make sure it's quick. Let's read in the comments. He said both libertarianism is hijacked by Goldwater Southern strategists in 1960. Is the core belief what Marx is that was for disrupting capitalist status quo. Exactly. Liberal now. Actually, they're moderates. Isn't odd they screen for reduction of government unless it's law enforcement, which is required big government. Exactly. It's kind of like conservatism right there. But okay. Left-wing libertarian, socialism, anarchism. The two left-wing libertarians, the anarchists being forced to work for employers being subject into management power is a form of oppression because it disallows your self-management and prevents the realization of the potential of wage workers who are stuck in the dead-end jobs. Anarchists do not necessarily reject government. As anarchist thinker Peter Kropotkin pointed out, there is a dysfunction between the state and the government consists of its institutions of a governance which would be making rules, adjusting disputes, and social self-defense. At the state, on the other hand, is a top-down bureaucratic apparatus with command over military military and police forces separate from real control by the masses of the people. Left-wing libertarians advocate systems of provision of social benefits such as free health care, education, public transit, but they want these services to be managed directly by their workers. But left-wing libertarian and anarchists are opposed to the state because of its other side. It is used to defend and protect interests of dominating, exploiting classes such as capitalists and bureaucrats. Left-wing libertarians, the purpose to replace the state with the systems of direct popular power based on direct democracy. I've heard this word before. And assembles in the workplace and neighborhoods and delegated bodies closely controlled by the base resembles Thus, we would say they want governance without state. Direct democracy, the only country that does that's neutrality, is Switzerland. California used to be like that for 30 years and it kind of stopped. And Frank Lester was example of late 19th century and 20th century libertarian. That's facts. Okay. So we're going to have here. What's the matter with libertarianism? Who can object to libertarian principles of individual freedom, personal responsibility, and the right to hold property at least the abstract? The problem is the real world. It's never abstract. All philosophies must ultimately confront reality. Excuse me. And the more radical versions of libertarianism, there are more, from extreme anarchism to limited government to abstracted. All philosophy, although utility, really, and more radical versions of large. Okay, I read this. And government minarchism relies on temporary deficient models of human and nature and society. Let's very briefly take a look at the problem. The libertarian model of the individual psychology is grounded in the utilitarian neoclassical economics model of Homo economicus, economic man. Our motivations can be reduced to the single-minded pursuit of our mostly material self-interest, according to mainstream economists, seem to consider it their mission and to help us do more efficiently. And the noble economists, Amartya Sen, many years scantily and characterized a simplistic model as traditional fools who are decided and out there war purpose or presence and function. Oh, damn. So, yeah, man, it's a great read. So, if y'all ain't catch that, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's libertarianism for you. And as we can tell, and that's the one. Yeah, it's the last one. It's so far behind. Okay. Yeah. But that's how it is, man. That's how it is. But we got those links and lined up what was going on. And that's just usually the way it is. But you know how it is. It's racism and everybody. But what if I know? A lot of these dudes in space ain't built like that. But you know how it is. You know how it is. But that's what you got to deal with. But so yeah, man. I talked about Barry Goldwater in the conservatism streams in part 1 and part 2 in the beginning. Yeah, they have to go outside and things like that nature. But yeah, this is a libertarianism stream. But yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of racists cover that. Like they let it slip up. I've heard that for years. Someone's doing their own platforms. For us, we just playing catch up. So you know how it goes. But yeah. For me, I look at it like this. It's pretty simple. When I first heard of it, man, it was a weird concept. But they do have the right and left and try to make everybody libertarians. But that's you know how it is. Yeah, and that's just usually the way it is. But that's basically what you have in so many words. But yeah, but that's how they got down. I was introduced to it probably somewhere around 2009 when I heard of it. Man, it's under Obama. Libertarians were no joke. They're more threat of the red bee. But you know how it goes. You know I'd bring my analysis on that shit. Okay. And that's just usually what you can see here. So yeah, man, like libertarianism, it's just one of those things that you can get into the ideology mode and just like, just go ham and all that. But in so many words, that's it. And that's what you gotta have. But you know, yeah, man. Yeah, I've been knowing this stuff like from '09, like decades ago. People counted them all the time. They wasn't scared. And that's just how it is. You know, that's how you look at it. But you know, and that's how you gotta look at it. But in so many words, you know, it's been a wild week. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Yeah, let me go back to the links that he sent me. Let's see, the Libertarian Talk. Okay, we're gonna dump that for a minute. Y'all just y'all bear with me. The Business Insider. And yeah, the Murray Rothbard and things like that. But you know what I mean? And that's it. Oh, it's usually what it is. That's how you gotta be. You know, that's just how it is. It gets down. So, and that's what I do. But I'll never forget the days I used to troll their ass in politics. And it's just so wild, man. Okay, okay, on the way. All right, give me 5 minutes, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry, y'all. Hell, Gray Skull. What's going on, DeAndre? Feeling Sphere. What's going on? Yeah, man. I know y'all busy. I'm gonna put a round 2 in there. I know y'all gonna wait. But yeah, we talked about the links and libertarianism and all that stuff. But yeah, this is a topic what I want to get into. Okay. Let me hit this real quick. Let's see. We're gonna hit this again. The psychology of it. Yeah. Just like we talked about earlier, it's no need to discuss like the racism, and they said what's wrong with it. And it's basically saying like it's a lot of things wrong with the Washington Post, your conservatives and things like that. But it's all tied up what I was saying in so many words and links that my man Cerulean provided. But and then you got your difference makers and things like that. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Let's go. Yeah. I'll deal with that later. Catfish. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's one thing I could say about, libertarianism and things like that. I mean, I learned a little bit of knowledge, and man, at the time I used to challenge them in the day. That's one of the things that you can see whatever, but some people just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just one of those things that, in so many words. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's a combination. But when I saw this and read this, man, I'm like, we got all the knowledge in the world. So yeah, but we will do a part 2 to this. We'll revisit some of the links that we talked about. And then I'll add another piece to this, the difference between anarchism and libertarianism and then right wing and all that. So expound on, well, there's a video I'm not going to play because they're going to try to strike me, but we know, but y'all can check that video for yourself. It's all in the links in the chat and things like that. So I read some of it. The Black Rose Anarchist Federation, the Federación Anarquista Rosa Negra. So they, got your anarchists and things like that. So we're going to stop the share and cut the links out. But it expounds on the philosophy, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Raven. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things, man. Like I think when you talk about this subject, it gets tricky, it gets tight, whatever, and a lot of people just get into it and they just like, they have to get the meat of it and whatever. And one of those things you just got to look at it like, this is it. Some people are not going to go bound for bound. Oh, Wanji's came out 4 hours. Oh, damn. Yeah, he must have had some serious talks. But you know what I mean? I know I'm looking at topics, but yeah, but my topic is very philosophy based. But we will do a part 2. It's like an exercise. We're going to revisit this video, and wherever the conversation is going to be, we're going to be good. So in so many words, we're just going to be like, all right, let's see. I'm going to troll a little bit. Who they got? Conservative and SKC. Oh, they got the trims over there. God damn. Interesting fellows. I had to put some Thanksgiving food up. I think my mom was giving me some. That's what took me a while. Sorry about that if y'all had to wait. I was trying to say I had things in the background to be situated because I know I was gonna stream tonight. But see, I wasn't gonna stream tomorrow because I know everybody's got the holiday. I know Dearn's already in the next day, waiting on Friday. We will do Friday special mass, talk about the mod Arbery and expound on these fools. What are they doing Friday? Because Thursday is gonna be a day, the food day, and everybody's gonna go crazy. But for me, today's Wednesday, and I know everybody's in their little Thanksgiving Eve acting crazy. But I had to deliver this topic, man. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about since got past Thursday thrills. But we talked about the economic liberalism. Okay. And I mentioned libertarianism because that's a separate topic to this. It's connected to part of that, the classic liberalism. We already talked about neoliberalism, but they had neo-libertarianism, which is interesting. And that's been around for a while. So yeah, and conservative ideas, but libertarianism is new to me when I was younger. But it's been around for a while. It's got some ages, but people buy into the different beliefs. I know people know the Paul family and things like that, and then Iran and everybody else. So that's just the whole point of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how you look at it in so many words. And that's just how you look at it. But yeah. 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 I don't have to have no worries. And that's how I look at it in so many. But yeah. But it's just like I found it interesting. People want to claim that in this day and time in 21st century. I was like, libertarianism in 2021. I mean, it's obviously an ideology. Is like it's kind of rough. It sounds cool, but it is a little bit of liberal idea. But there is such things as libertarian left and right. I know they had those little political things with the authoritarianism and that on a graft, which is interesting. I'm like, okay, this is where they're going. I'm kind of staying up a little bit because my brain was kind of foggy. I was about to fall out, but doing too much. Got my second win, but get my brain loose so I could be all right over here. So yeah. Yeah. Scorn degenerate. Salute, boy. Salute, 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 salute. I don't know what I can tell you. Yeah, man. I'm just going to see something real quick. And yeah, I'm just looking at it like it's pretty simple how you deal with libertarianism and things like that nature in so many words. And you just, expound on it. And I'm just like, okay, we're going to see where we come here. But everybody's on a roll today. But we're gonna stick to it. I'll control these trims for a minute. But yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good week for me. But but learning about this right here, I've been wanting to do this for like a minute. Like, because sometimes when you talk about libertarianism, it's just like you get in the field of it, you get the meat of it and things like that. So we're gonna see what we learn and things like that. So I don't want to read more into it. It's a lot. The Business Insider, those links y'all can check out. It's a lot of links I put in there. I put the philosophy links. I try to tell you, I break these down and I'll save some of these. And some of these I've saved in a folder. So once you save these in a folder, libertarianism is just what it is. It's one of those folders that you can have or whatnot, and you just put it on top. I'll put it on top right here. So when you have libertarians, you just, okay, all these links, we're going to revisit. We're going to revisit and we're going to revisit again. And we got to bring the actual into it. And we got to bring the actual of it. Capital punishment, libertarian. I'm just moving some links around. So we're gonna get it right away. So we're gonna put the wikis in it as course. And y'all give me 1 second because I got these links in there. Yeah, this is all I want. So yeah, man. He said, assuming OG libertarianism was resembling more of a left libertarianism. Yeah, we discussed that, General, man. You missed it. It's a lot of people that reside that. You got to stick with what you know. And I know I'm 2 hours in, but you got all these links and they're there for you. What's going on, G Salute? Appreciate you having me on the panel earlier. Good stream. I mean, great stream. I mean, not just good, great stream. Y'all had great topics. I couldn't stay because I had to do this. Yeah, do that more often, man. Because sometimes, a Wednesday stream will always help. Yeah, man, because everybody's thinking about thanks taking. Because thanks taking is kind of bad for y'all's health. So many words. But the trims are acting up. They pissed about, oh boy, getting off. I had to switch to a different microphone because I couldn't have stayed on the other one I was on the panel with. I said my panel mic. So I said, you know what? Let me switch back to the one my standard is. And I stick with it, but I'll get it a stand eventually. Don't y'all worry. I'll working on that next week. Or something like that next week, and then a new microphone. I'll be fine. So, but this one I'm gonna stick with right now because I'm gonna stick with this one and work with it. But yeah. Just keep it in motion. I kind of like these headsets that I got. Yeah, first world with this mic, I like it. The other one's gotta have that static. But yeah, this is something like we can all learn. But part 2 is gonna be interesting. I'll probably add more links to it, and then we're gonna expound on what we talked about tonight. But yeah, libertarianism is what it is, man. It's one of those ideologies. It goes right back to what I was saying, and we got to go back to it again. I know the links that we just read in the stream, and basically these guys was practicing it. And basically you got your anti-war movement, you got your libertarian conservatism and capitalism, Christian influence, the radical right. The left is basically, you got the Murray Rothbard I read earlier, minutes and hours in the stream. The private ownership, the geo-libertarianism is what the left is, and the right is libertarian conservatism. So I might have to write those down. That's gonna be my next, because I feel like if we talk about it enough, I'm gonna write these down, and we're gonna go That's part 2. We're going to bring the philosophies. We're going to read them again. And we're going to stick with what we have. It's going to be tons and tons of information. Okay, Libertarianism. And then we got another block. It's called okay. So points down. Call it part 2. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah. But in the future, we will talk about anarchism, capitalism. We're going to talk socialism, communism, and individualism. We're going to talk about all that in one on this site right here. And then we're going to break the rest down and put some more links and expound on it. So, yeah, basically, that's going to be my future. Let me take this off the screen. Sundays, one of those streams on Wednesdays. And just mix them up, because definitely we'll talk about it. But this one is the most important because I feel like this stream is a continuation of that. You know, this is my final political philosophy stream, but we will do the systems and talk about what works in society, or Black people want something different. So, yeah, in so many words, we just like to expound. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is, you know? He said, better get ready to discuss anarchy because 24 is coming. Oh, yeah. I'll talk about that. I haven't gone in depth on that. That's a whole nother beast. That's going to be like an all-in-one thing. And then I might do a series on that, because that system is, a lot of people ain't ready for that conversation. You know what I mean? I can just expound on that. You know, the other systems, not so much. But you know what I mean? But that's one reason it's discussed this, because libertarianism is kind of like the opposite of that. So you got one side wants chaos, the other side wants semi-chaos, kind of like a utilitarian concept. And I think BGS explained the utilitarian and nihilist concept, you know, black pill sense, what he tries to claim, which is kind of like what he did in his last video. Now, he did a stream premiere. That don't even count. That was talking about who's winning and this, and who's winning, who's not winning, that silliness. It should stick to the topic at hand, what brothers need to do. So, and yeah, 24 is going to be wild. It's not going to be wild as you think. It's going to be a collapse of a country. If they keep going the rate they're going, it's over. You know, some people believe it's going to last. Some people ain't. You know, it's on this downhill. It depends on how you survive out here, man. Can't be conning people out here. People are watching. But yeah. Was libertarian socialism discussed? Degenerate? I ain't heard that word in decades. I might discuss that the next part. The reason I haven't done that, I'm going to say that for part 2, because I ain't got my searches yet. I'm focusing on the ones I got, like the left and the right. But we will discuss geo-libertarianism for the left, and the right will be the libertarian conservatism. And we'll discuss probably libertarian socialism. Appreciate you for adding that in. Yeah. He's a side joke, but what about us men that just want to see the world burn? Oh, you talking about scorched earth? Oh, that's a form of anarchy right there. I support that 1,000% right here. The problem with that is people ain't built like that. It's only a handful. But yeah, it's some men believe that. DeAndre's one of them. I think I'm one of them. But it has to be for a right cause. We do believe that. It's just this country, if it goes the way it's been going, yeah, scorched earth does exist. But you got to see its other half. But some people want to be utilitarian, want to construct it all the time. Visual analysis will challenge you. It's a struggle of two worlds. Somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to stay. But yeah. But that's what you get for a society like that. You know what I mean? I'm not really upset. That's just part of it, you know. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. You gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm just like, yeah. Yeah. Let's see what y'all say in the chat. Yeah, I ain't heard that term in years. I first heard the term by a libertarian socialist rants. Oh yeah, I heard it from a white guy. I forget his name. He was popular on YouTube years ago. This is back 2012 and beyond. 2010 to 2011, ish around that time. By a YouTuber, he said collared or called. Yeah, I forget his name. Peace One G's. He's trying to tell him Peace One G's. Okay. Yeah, I know who he's talking about, man. He was popular. That was a hell of a phrase. He was saying something about King, Dr. King was one, and things like that nature. I mean, he was on some shit. But it's pretty cool. Yeah. But you know, people get along, but you know, it's just one of those like I would be curious if someone would claim they're libertarian nowadays, but I know people like the classic liberal and conservative argument. What about libertarians? That racism shit with the Paul family, man. You know, Ron Paul, that's still getting him with those papers, those race papers. All that motherfucker gets triggered. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what you got to put up with. But in so many words, I can't believe, like, someone wants to be it nowadays. But yeah, libertarianism is just one of those ideologies I remember years ago. Yeah. Okay. He said, I guess classical liberal ideologies fits into the regular modern libertarian model. Yeah, it does in some degree. You see it all the time. It just won't stop. And once you get into that mode, man, you just don't stop doing what you're doing. But that's just one of those ideologies you got to stick with. And people get it conflated at times. And it's that classic liberal mode. Once you get in that mode, you get in that mode for good. That's just how people get down. So in so many words, you expect people to change and they don't change. And that's just it. And you gotta understand that. So when you're doing that, people get into that mode anyway. But yeah, man, like that liberalism stuff. I mean, when I talked about it yesterday and I talked about libertarianism, libertarianism is another beast. It's a combination of a super small government. It's a liberal idea. It's very capitalistic. It has that plutocracy feel to it. See, I ain't got into fascism. Fascism is just light. That's just lightweight compared to what y'all see in the surfaces in other countries. What's the point? I would say attack or on the issue. Sometimes lean more to the right, but it does lean to the left if you're a geo-libertarian. Yeah. Your ideologies, I mean, if you're a classic liberal, you're a classic liberal. You just got liberal ideas. Or laissez if you're a liberal, degenerate. You got boys like infantry skills and all that. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, man. It's just wild what's going to happen. But it's just like I thought about being a libertarian, but I said as a black man, it's no benefit. Ideology wise, my politics is kind of moderate. I'm more of a moderate and you think an independent, but some people rather be libertarian. Just an scapegoat. In these spaces, some people promote that a little bit, or a little bit of conservatism or lean towards the right. That ain't me. They go super extreme. But yeah, get some context. What y'all talking about? So yeah, man. Yeah, get some context. And that's how it's gonna be. Yeah, man. But yeah. But you know, I'm not really tripping off anything. Yep. Okay. Let's get it. He said, do you think some of Trump's policies were libertarianish? A little bit degenerate. I'll say a little bit, but it's mostly liberal. I will say on a military front, but economics, a little bit of conservative. Yeah.
Well, greetings, esteemed brethren.
Greetings.
Greetings. So, talking libertarianism. Is that interesting subject there? Because you have a lot of so-called Negro conservatives that run around here with their new age libertarian tropes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not understanding where these ideas actually originate from, or just how much while claiming the Southern strategy was some kind of a myth, espousing all of the very tropes that stem out of the Southern strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like one of those ideas being the broken window.
Yeah, I remember that. Q Wilson. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Things are created out of these think tanks, far right think tanks. Like Manhattan Institute, Stanford's Hoover Institute, which is where the most quoted coon of our generation comes from. Thomas Sowell,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm actually looking for my book right now, The Two-Party South, because Alexander P. Lamas actually wrote about libertarians, though briefly, talk about how the Southern Dixiecrats, what you call a blue dog conservative, those that were for the succession from the Union to create the Confederacy.
Right.
Which was the beginning of the American conservative movement. That was the beginning of it. Succession from the Union is the beginning of the conservative movement in America.
Right.
Now, we get to Southern strategy, where you have Democrats having a hard time winning the South back. And then this incoming thing, it was under, Herbert Hoover's Lily White strategy. There's a book that you can get. It's called Hoover Blacks and Lily Whites. And the Lily White strategy literally becomes the mold for what you now know as the Southern strategy. Do not run as a Democrat, run as a Republican with Democratic views, with Southern Dixiecratic views. Now we come into the 60s and 70s. These are your Bull Connors, right? Your Lee Atwaters.
And you Barry Goldwaters
specifically,
as well.
Specifically, more so Bull Connor. Because when Ronald Reagan wins the governorship of California, it's Bull Connor's political strategy that he used to win California. And then all of these new liberal, like super far left liberal leaning ideas like no fault divorce, which wins precedent in California under Reagan's governorship, right?
Yeah, man. Yep. It's like the Southern strategy. But yeah, it's an interesting topic because I remember hearing this back in, I think on YouTube around 2010. People was broadcasting like it was nothing on my old channel. Used to get in debates about this topic a lot. You got different terms like libertarian socialism and various ideological forms, and I'm scratching my head. I said, oh, okay. And then you got your actual libertarianism. Like I researched today, I said, well, damn, but I've researched it before. Well, yeah, it's changed. They dabble with some changes to it, but it's not that old. It's new, but the concept is not old, though. But they always bring that utilitarian philosopher John Stuart Mill. That's a red flag, to be honest with you.
Well, if you really look at it, if you like say the late Victorian era libertarians, right? These are people that are, they're the regime that gave you laissez-faire.
Yeah.
Right? They were, because that comes out of the end of the French Revolution. Right? So they are the purveyors of laissez-faire. The government shouldn't be involved in, commerce, trade, because in their minds it's basically deals, whether contractual or non-contractual deals, between two private quote-unquote parties. But it is a semi-anarchist idea. See, it's interesting because during Lester Frank Ward's time, and he was a contemporary of Emil Durkheim. During his time, you wouldn't be able to tell a libertarian from a Marxist.
Oh, yeah.
I actually talk about it in the capitalism, capitalism and socialism.
Oh yeah.
And nobody ever questions, like, how does capitalism end up on the right when it's actually more closely aligned to socialism than it is to, say, mercantilism? Because mercantilism would mean that you are for monarchies and all of that, unless you're talking about an autocratic style government in which the captains of industry have the same measure of power, leeway, and influence as actual government, which is what libertarianism is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to usurp government by using commerce, right? Wrest control of the government by impoverishing the government's taxpayer, right? The thing that keeps it flush and afloat, which is the taxpayer. So how do you hold it? How do you hold that at bay? Oh, now we're getting into the nepotism of that is rampant within capitalism. Government agents, public servants as empty suits for corporate influence. Who would have thought? But if you go all the way back to the very founding of the country, i.e., the Constitution, was expressly against such arrangement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get. But these dudes think that's the way, but to me, it's not. It's not something I would promote in 2021. So
See, when you're talking about government corruption, you are talking about public servants within the government who act as corporate shills.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what you're talking about when you talk about government corruption. When you talk about corporate corruption, well, you're just talking about the corporation in itself. A corporation that uses government to prop up its failing enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I actually talked about it with the video I did on the welfare state.
Mm.
Oh, that's one of the 6MV videos, welfare state and capitalism versus socialism. Capitalism and socialism actually belong on the same side because they're both leftist ideals.
Mm-hmm.
Except for capitalism is basically socialism for the rich. And that's actually quoting Nick Hanauer, who's a venture capitalist, who talks about, but he's more of a moderate leaning guy. He's more of a moderate or a progressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, libertarianism, semi-anarchist, small government. They say, well, if you're for small government, then you just naturally want to defund and reduce the size of the police, then, right? You should naturally, because if you're talking about small government, well, why do we have all of the, we shouldn't have so much government influence in our lives? Well, where does the point of impact between government and your life actually begin? In law enforcement. That's like if you look at where you actually interface with government more times than not, Who executes the policies of government? Law enforcement. That's why they're aptly named law enforcement. But if you notice, most of your conservatives, they run on a what? Law and order platform while yelling small government. But in Frank Lester Ward's time, the even though they were well aware that it was pseudo anarchist, what they're saying is this: if this were truly a United States that acknowledges the Constitution of that United States, then that is the only Constitution that should be acknowledged. No individual state Constitution should be acknowledged other than the one for the United States government. Oh, because see, that's how far the whole states' rights argument actually goes back. Because if you really look at all of these like state constitutions, all every single state constitution is only born during the Reconstruction era. They, 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 most of them aren't even created during the time that they become states. It only becomes during the Reconstruction era. That was to impose states' rights. But that's how they, the old Southern Dixiecrats, they camouflage themselves into the conservative, the neoconservative movement. And because what you would call neoconservatism today is recognized as paleoconservatism. So how do you acknowledge the fact that you are anti-misogynist, you are pro status quo, you want to strip federal government of its regulatory authority over the state, which is basically the impetus for secession from the Union, right? Without having that stain of conservatism and neoconservatism, well, you branch off under a neoliberal idea, adopt some of the liberalist viewpoints, and then you take a pre-existing idea, i.e., libertarianism, that basically was commandeered from France, and then you rebrand yourself as a quote unquote libertarian. And why does it take place in, the 50s and 60s? Well, because that just after World War II, when in order to adopt all of these Eastern European groups, such as the small hats and right, that was part of their deal. In order to further Americanize them, it gives them some glimpse or even some measure of the quote unquote American dream that they wanted to promote. So you give the small hats the civil liberties, unions, the jobs and civil affairs. Which is why most of them are lawyers. You gave the Irish the police force, right? You gave the Italians the fire department, EMTs. You had the Eastern Germans, the medical field. This is why your most renowned, you know, American medical doctors had German names. Well, before the mid 20th century, we started importing more Eastern Indians, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Most of them had German names.
Yeah.
So the Germans get the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
You even look at it. GlaxoSmithKline.
Mm-hmm.
German, German beginnings, German origin.
Yeah.
Pfizer, German origin.
Oh yeah.
And your civil liberties and your civil service jobs, those small hats, right?
Right. There we go.
Mostly lawyers. We know
Mm-hmm.
the best lawyers are what? Small hats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were given these fields. That was their that was a part of the agreement for their acceptance into whiteness, the institution of whiteness. It was a part of the deal Eastern Europeans got for assisting America in the war effort, even though at best they played only a marginal role, while we know that the great American Negro is the reason why World War II was won. Shout out to one of my heroes, Dory Miller.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. A lot of entities with libertarianism. I read about the Paul family, the racist stuff he said, the dad. Oh, that tarnished him. Oh, that tarnished him. I remember that. Someone brought it up in the chat. Yeah, that's a whole nother species.
And salute to our esteemed brethren Dre, the pettiest of officers.
One Eye Advisors.
Pro-capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
You notice you keep hearing, and I hear it in a lot of these Senate and congressional hearings lately,
Mm-hmm.
like especially out of the mouth of Rand Paul, always referring to like these are the new McCarthy, the new McCarthyists. Everything's communist and socialist. There is no greater socialist Marxist ideal than capitalism. That's why if you look at your socialist and communist nations of today, they do capitalism a lot better than actual supposedly capitalist countries like America, right? But America has had something that none of the other countries have had. May have had a mass media machine that can make you think that capitalism is a conservative idea when it's actually a liberal one.
Yeah. And they
They can
think
make you think that big government
yeah.
is a liberal idea when it's actually a conservative one.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I talked about that last week. This is ties into it because libertarianism, you got your options. Yeah, you had your little spills, but what we see today is, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And when I think about the Republicans, I think about liberalism. I don't even think about anything else or conservative. But the Democrats, when it comes to the military industrial complex, yeah, I talked about that. Mhm. Budget.
I mean, it's wild. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. Mass media machine, man.
Yeah.
Mass media. A motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there to say about libertarianism?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fault. It's really like kind of, it's like playing a shell game, right? To be conservative leaning, but to give the appearance, it comes out of the mass appeal to whites is really what popularized libertarianism. The mass appeal to whites by small hats. Like if you want to get into the nitty gritty of how libertarianism becomes popular in America, it begins with the mass appeal to whites. I think I mentioned it briefly, but not as like a libertarian thing, but more so as an argument against those people that talk about the welfare state and all this other garbage. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot more to say. That's why I dropped those links earlier. This is a couple of bookmarks for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Rashawn. You know exactly what I was about to talk about. Yep. Because he live in a state that has that same very problem. Got a lot of damn libertarians outskirts. He told me about Long Island. Who else told me about Staten Island? What's his name? Ask Nathaniel. Same thing. We talked about Trump in the chat, and I brought Central Park 5. Yeah, he highlighted that comment about that case with the moderator. It's all, interconnected with it. Well, I'm going to have a piece next week. Get those other two philosophies. But this is just like the beginning. Yep.
I looked at I put a link in there to Psychology Today from 15 years ago, something like that. I think it was Psychology Today. And what's the matter with liberalism or libertarianism?
Yeah.
Then you look at that's why you got the guy that he's considered the father of modern libertarianism, Robert Nozick. Why
Oh,
he abandoned the movement, right? It's like it's an unsustainable ideology. I mean, like the very philosophy itself is unsustainable. Yeah, it gives these it's broad sweeping. So why you hear a person like, I'm a libertarian, it doesn't really mean shit anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that's what you have.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Robert Nozick becomes a World War II protester and an advocate for third wave feminism. You know, before he dies.
Mm-hmm.
That laissez-faire was unsustainable. You got to remember this is also a guy that, while America was talking laissez-faire, and all this other bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
he becomes an anti-war protester.
Right.
Now, if America during World War II is still part of the war economy, how you call yourself a libertarian protesting World War II? America is in fact engaging in laissez-faire. Oh, that's because its primary economy is war. Even still, and there's never been a single, say, empire in history. Every empire, wherever it reaches basically its max point of expansion, like America has now, same as with Rome. You how the empires rise and fall starts with using the war economy to establish itself. Then the period of enlightenment brings education, advancement in technology, right? Smarter people, innovation. Then society becomes more liberal leaning and egalitarian. Well, that is until it needs more room, needs more resources, or needs more people.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is that it comes to lean back on traditionalism, which is the war economy. The thing that establishes it as a body, as a national body, or as an international body, is a thing that it needs to sustain itself now. Which is why you look at America, well, you'll sit there and ask, well, and I hear this from civilians all the time. Why are we in these different countries? Well, quite simple. We want to win. America, after having empire for as long as America's had it, it's hard to let go of empire. It's hard to let go of pole position in geopolitical politics and issues. when you've sat at the top, it's hard to let go of that top spot. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing with places like the South China Sea. Conflict. An empire rises and falls by the war in China. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's so funny because they actually wrote that in the Bible too, right? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's not just a reference to interpersonal affairs, it's also a, a reference to how nations, the countries, and empires rise and fall. I mean, they live by the sword, they die by it. And now you're looking at America dying by its own sword. I mean, look at capitalism, snake eating its own tail. It's that's why Marx had so many criticisms of it. Capitalism was never meant to be a thing that is used to sustain the nation. It is only really a thing that is employed to keep the government flush. So it has the ability to continue to execute policy, both domestically and foreign. America is not supposed to die by capitalism. As a matter of fact, if you look at your most successful socialist nations, which is why they just happen to do capitalism better than America, is because capitalism was a absolute necessity in order to maintain the quote unquote welfare state. In fact, that's why America went with a capitalist heavy society. It allowed the greatest expansion of the Industrial Revolution. Industry. America's the leader, was the leader eventually, right? Until it started exporting the very thing that makes it the industrial world leader. Starts exporting its industrial jobs to now which our competitors, our top competitors, China and Russia, have those jobs. Like when you talk about crime, criminals are not anarchists because criminals understand consequence, which actually becomes a determinant factor in whether or not a so-called criminal will carry out a crime or not carry out a crime. And that's why the conservatives, especially that of the Negro ilk, have it wrong. There's a book that was published by the so-called father of modern libertarianism, The book is called Anarchy. In the book, he quotes Milton Friedman, Adam Smith, he mentions, he talks about geopolitical fears, like such as the collapse of, uh, the Fabian, the Fabian socialists, the Fabian strategists, especially those of Europe. I mean, we were just talking about Thatcher a couple of days ago. And isn't it interesting? Milton Friedman gains popularity by shitting on the welfare state. Mind you, the same welfare state that he himself had been raised and reared by. You got to remember, he's an Eastern European. He's a child of Eastern European immigrants whose family was propped up on American welfare, mind you. It sent him to the greatest schools America could offer for free via his immigrant status. And then only to gain his popularity by shitting on the very welfare state that raised, reared, and educated him.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting. We talk about limited government.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Atwater was talking about when he's talking about lower taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because taxes is what government, that's what pays government. That's what keeps your government afloat. Taxation.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the states succeed from the Union? The same reason why the colonialists succeed from Britain. Taxation.
Without representation.
But see, isn't it funny how they just so clearly like change the names of things to make you think
Mm-hmm.
that's something different?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a set of Jim Crow laws established specifically across the South, but not limited to the South? Because of taxation. Taxation that you can delegate to an employee or a slave. I mean, you can pick whatever moniker you choose. So that's what Noam Chomsky was talking about. That whole, you know, uh, that coerced consent.
Yeah.
If you manufacture consent by virtue of necessity, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you make all of the decisions that guide society, economically based decisions.
Yep.
And if you artificially inflate, deflate, stagflate economy, you can there in part guide the trajectory of society by forcing the individuals that operate within society to make decisions based on things that are totally economic, like marriage, children, family, community. Libertarians, much like conservatives, love to use the family trope, but the doctrines that guide these principles are inherently anti-family. You notice that? Because family in modern society is determined by economy. They run around, fathers in the home, fathers in the home, blah, 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 blah. Nuclear family. The government, the nuclear family model is an advocation of the welfare state, though. See, now you're getting into something that, once again, Lee Atwater, that is so abstract that like the average layman doesn't even understand it. They're talking about something that is inherently anti-family, that is against that it causes Americans to work against their own better interests based on sheer economic decisions. Now you look at right now the current birth dearth, negative birth rate. All of that was guided by economic decisions. Abortion guided by economic decisions. Child support guided by economic decisions. That's why they dig into a nigga's finance. But it's funny because when child support is put into play, it's not put into play by liberals. Liberals were for the slacker generation, the sex, drugs, rock and roll, free love, etc., etc. No responsibility. The neoconservatives say, hey, got to do something about this. It came in, they kicked over, their father's trays of weed and cocaine and told them the U.S. Army wants you for Vietnam, that is. Oh, that's right. Because even going to war or protesting it, it's only a decision based on what? Economics. They got the world that Adam Smith wrote about in Wealth of Nations. The same one that the so-called white man is crying victim about today. Isn't that isn't that interesting? The white man is crying victimhood about the world that their God, Adam Smith, had envisioned in Wealth of Nations. Because I don't know if people know this or not, but Wealth of Nations is a fictional book. It is not a nonfiction book. It's about as non-fictional as Atlas Shrugged. But then that's another piece of pseudo-conservative libertarian garbage written by Ayn Rand, right? And both scream for this somewhat utopian society where there is no government.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
But then people would have to say, well, where do you think Aldous Huxley got the idea for 1984? Brave New World. So remember, in Atlas Shrugged, the government is Big Brother. Oh, excuse me. That was 1984. But they're both the same book. Utopian society created outside of government oversight and influence. Why the pervading question of Atlas Shrugged is who the fuck is John Galt? Well, John Galt would be your Adam Smith. Creating this utopian capitalist society without regulation, without government oversight. The utopians. And then they call things that, when we talk about egalitarianism and equality and all of these things, they call those far left ideas. But isn't it funny how capitalism talks about meritocracy? It's used to advertise the idea of meritocracy. If you just work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that is implying that everything is equal, that everything is egalitarian, that we already live in the utopian society that Adam Smith envisioned in Wealth of Nations. But isn't it interesting when Adam Smith wrote Wealth of Nations? No nation on earth ever existed like it. And still to this day, don't. America would be the closest one. Perfect world where everybody is their job is based on the best man fit for the job and blah 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 blah. Yeah, no. America, capitalism, America is nothing more than corporate nepotism. That's why you call them plutocrats. You're only in charge because you have wealth, not because you have brain. Because you had some inheritance to wealth, not because you were smart. I mean, and in the creation of the intelligence quotient, which doesn't actually gauge intelligence, it gauges your socialization. Which is why even if you go all the way back to the days of the French Revolution,
Mm-hmm.
where where IQ and all that shit was born,
Mm-hmm.
people were in charge because of their wealth, their proximity to the royal court or the aristocrats who filled that court, not because they had any level of intelligence.
Hmm.
Where even today you have it's almost a stigmatic um, kind of understanding where people assume that because a person has wealth means that they also have intelligence,
Mm.
which we know is really the recipe for the cult of personality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the cult of personality is another liberal idea.
Yeah, that's how you got that cult of personality, man. They claiming they conservatives in these spaces. They're crazy.
But you notice, how are you a conservative? How are you a free thinker? And every time that you get into a debate with one of these so-called free-thinking Negroes, especially, they're always making a moralistic, illogical fallacy called the appeal to authority.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you always say, well, where's your proof? Well, show me a link. That would be an appeal to authority, sir. And making such illogical fallacies amongst the debate, or what it actually means in the debate,
Yeah.
because it means that your whatever it is that you're espousing in a debate doesn't have any foundation that the individual user can innovate or espouse in a way without, say, giving credit to the founders of said idea. Which is why in college today getting a PhD means little or nothing. Because even as an undergrad, it is already pre-implied that you, as a student, have nothing whatsoever to offer. Which is why when you go for a PhD, they make you write a dissertation. A dissertation that would be used to inject into the overall scientific ethos of your field of study. And then that's peer reviewed. And if they like it, which is really what it is, if they like it, they grant your PhD. If they don't, well, back to the drawing board. And all it takes is, one or two people that don't like it in order to deny you. And that happens quite often where you see a person get denied dissertation. The dissertation is ruled as, say, inconsequential, only to see that parts of that dissertation being used by actual doctors in the field that have been previously granted PhDs in that same field of study. And you see people's entire life work stolen from them. Kind of like Einstein's so-called theory of relativity, right? Which for some reason people still believe that he developed that shit. Can't tie a shoe, but somehow he can develop a theory of relativity, right? When a shoelace is relative to your fucking shoe. But, people believe anything these days. But yeah, if nothing else, you have to go ahead and get up out of here. Where time is currently not permitting me as of late. Just simply not enough hours in a damn day for real world. But as usual, it's a pleasure, sir. Oh, it's a gratitude for having me. And all hail Grayskull. It's been a pleasure. Salute to the nation. Long live the black nobility. Peace out.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. Yep. 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 Oh, Hill Gray Skull. Okay. Y'all done? Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by, everyone. Yeah, this has been another one, but I will say part 2 will be on the 1st. Look out for that. So peace.